Hey there, Patriots. Welcome to the front lines. This is Death Watch here to give you guys more intel so you can update your personal armory and fight back against the fake news media machine. And today we're going to be talking about the new race swap, Velma Dinkley. Okay, when I was looking for who this new writer is, Mindy Kaling. I think that's Calling or Kaling, however you pronounce that. I was trying to figure out who the hell is she. She looks familiar, and then when I pull up this article, I was like, oh yeah, that's the chick that was in The Office. But the thing is, when I the more ironic thing is when you look at her, how she pushes back against the criticism, right? Or how she tweets and says that, well, I'm making this Velma show because, it's for Southeast representation and because Velma is unappreciated. And so we need to have more appreciation for her because she's the brains behind the operation, right? I'm like, yeah, that character you played in The Office kind of makes me think that that was you. You're playing yourself in real life. We just kind of just overlooked it as, oh, this chick plays a really good narcissistic, know everything person. No, no, no. That's probably how she acts in real life, right? And looking at the way that she promotes this work, right? Her new Velma series, yeah, kind of fits the bill, don't you think? But before we get into it, definitely in the comment section below, name your top three versions of the Scooby-Doo series, right? Mine is Mystery Incorporated. I really like it. Really good story-driven version of Scooby-Doo. Then we're going to go into what's new Scooby-Doo because, I think that's the most iconic. That's the one that most people, well, I say, the original series is probably really good because you have, crossovers with Batman, the Harlem Globetrotters, and all those other series. But for me, what's new Scooby-Doo is kind of a fanfare because they had, they branched out more. Like they took what they did back in the old days with all these guest stars and essentially had that same thing, but more updated series, updated, artists and graphics and things like that. I really thought it was really cool, and all the movies were definitely really good. And then I'll probably say A Pup Named Scooby Doo is probably my third favorite series. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But let's get into this, right? Because at the end of the day, when I heard that there was going to be a standalone Velma series, right, that we're going to figure out, like, go back in time to when Velma was in high school, and we're going to essentially follow her journey to how she became so invested in solving mysteries and all this other crap. I'm like, bro, we kind of already have that. The new Scooby-Doo movies, the Scoop movie, already essentially shows us that, hey, they all knew each other since, when they were kids, right? You had the Cartoon Network versions where they all met in high school. You have the Pup Named Scooby Doo, which pretty much shows that, hey, these guys were solving mysteries ever since they were kids. The new Scoob movie pretty much goes along with that, say, hey, these guys knew each other forever. They were always solving mysteries when they were kids, right? So it's like, why do we really need to go back in time to look at how Velma became who she is now? We already know that. They've been together all this time. They've been solving mysteries. Mystery Incorporated essentially was after the events of Pup Named Scooby Doo or the Scoob movie. They all grew up, stayed together, and now they're back in their hometowns. And here we are, them trying to solve more shit while they're focusing on high school, right? So we really need a standalone Velma? Because when you look at Fred, can Fred have his own standalone? Not really. I don't think most people will be that invested in Freddy. When you look at Daphne, can she have her own standalone? Not really. Nobody really can really invest themselves into just a Daphne standalone show. Okay, can Velma hold her own show? Not really. Okay, we always see these characters as being a part of the bigger gang, right? These people essentially they're inseparated, right? Inseparable. When we think about Scooby and Shaggy, right, we can probably have a standalone version of those guys, but we'll always sit there and kind of say, I wonder, I wish, Daphne or Velma or Fred was right there with them so we can get the whole team there, right? Because essentially, when we think about Scooby-Doo, we think about not only Scooby-Doo himself, but we think about Shaggy, we think about Velma, Daphne, and Fred all together doing what they do best, solving mysteries, and bagging the bad guy, right? So we already know that this is essentially ideological, right? Because this chick over here says that Mindy Kaling's upcoming project Velma will feature a much more adult approach to the Scooby Gang, which famously caused some backlash when it was announced last year at the Warner Bros. Discovery upfront presentation this week. Kaling gave a first look at her new series, which is heading to HBO Max this year. Hopefully, you noticed my Velma is South Asian, right? That's the first thing she comes out with, right? So essentially, it's all about the pronouns. It's all about the race, right? Hey, I know you. Hopefully, you guys notice that my Velma is South Asian, right? If that's your advertisement, right? Essentially, when you read this article for yourself, that's essentially how she advertised this whole thing. Oh, my Velma is Southeast Asian because I'm Southeast Asian, so therefore I'm essentially this is essentially fan fiction, like all these other shows. This is fan fiction. She is essentially just taking herself, putting it on screen, and saying that, hey, if you don't like it, you're istaphobe, right? That's how all these writers do. They'll advertise, they'll hijack characters because they're all talentless hacks. All these writers, all these new people, they're talentless hacks. The only thing they can do is hijack other people's works, their stories, their characters, and then race swap it or gender swap it or sexuality swap it, and then claim that, oh, if you don't like it, well, that's because you're an istaphobe, and anybody who doesn't watch my show is an istaphobe, and when their show eventually fails, then what they go scream. The reason why my show failed is because of all of the istaphobes out there who refuse to watch a show about a Southeast Asian character, right? Why can't you just make your own show about a Southeast Asian woman who who just wants to be a detective, right? She's in high school right now, and she's solving mysteries, solving cases, and then when she goes to college, she's now trying to get her degree in criminal justice, right? Trying to become an actual detective. Why can't you just come up with a story and name it like whatever, right? Make up your own original character who's trying to become a criminal justice, going to school for criminal justice and trying to become an actual detective, right? Probably trying to go to the FBI or some other, make their own private, I think private detective firm. I think that's what private detector. Why can't you just have a story about that? Why does it have to be Velma? Because they know that they can't make something organically. They have to hijack a well-known character, an IP that everybody will know. When people who don't know anything about this show, they see a show called Velma, they'll say, oh, I remember Velma from Scooby-Doo. And then they'll click on it and they'll watch it and they'll sit there and say, hey, look, all the people who like my show. Not really. These people probably watched the first 2 episodes. They're like, yo, this ain't the Velma I know. Where's the rest of the Scooby gang at, right? And they'll cut off of it, and then the show will eventually fail. And then this chick will scream isms and phobes, and the reason why they don't like nobody watched the show was because they all hate Southeast Asians, and because we live in a white supremacist society, and yada yada yada. Because that's always what they do. Because again, these people are hacks. These people write fan fiction. They market their shows based off only their race, sexuality, or their gender. Being black, being Southeast Asian, being white is not a personality. Being gay, being LGBTQ is not a personality. Being a woman or a man is not a personality. You got to actually put some effort into writing a character that people will actually want to watch and sit down and actually identify with, right? Just going out there and saying, oh, I hope you guys all notice that my character was Southeast Asian doesn't do jack shit for you. That just makes people sit there and say, oh my God, yes, okay, you're Southeast Asian. What else do you guys got to offer us? What, nothing? Okay, that's what I thought. I'm not watching this show. Get the fuck out of here, right? Right? And then her only reaction to is, anybody who doesn't like my show is a racist istaphobe. Okay, lady, let's see how far you get with that. Okay, so apparently it's gonna be 10 episodes in the first series, and who knows if it's gonna actually do anything for her. Okay, so again, let me see, leave your top favorite Scooby-Doo series down in this comment section below, and give me your opinion on this. Do you think it's gonna fail after the first season, or they're gonna try to draw it out for the 2 or 3 more seasons before they actually allow it to fail, kind of like they did for Batwoman, right? After the first season, it was already dead. Then they decided, oh, we're gonna race swap Batwoman, and it was still dying. It died even harder. And then they still were trying to push for a season 3, and eventually they ran out of money, right? Eventually the money they were losing money. Then they said, okay, we just gotta cut it off. We just gotta stop. Okay, are they gonna do the exact same thing with this HBO series? Who knows? Let me know your opinion down in the comment section below. And like always, like, share, subscribe, stay safe, stay sane, be vigilant, and I'll see you Patriots on the battlefield.